Hi everyone. I want to spend this next few minutes sharing what I'm doing for mosquito swatting. That is, when mosquitoes get into my home, how I'm killing them. So what I'm using is one of these electric fly swatters. The reason for this is that I don't need to hit the mosquito against a hard surface in order to kill it. So this works being airborne, where the mosquito needs to pass through the metal mesh and make contact with the outer metal, and then there's a middle layer of metal or middle mesh that it joins onto. And by doing it this way, I can, sit down, or I don't have to reach in ways that hurt my body. I did want to speak to the safety of these for a minute. The on-off switch is on the side here. So that's on, but it's not engaged unless the red LED is lit. And the way that happens is by how you naturally grasp it with this momentary on-off switch. So if I'm holding it, the red light turns on and it's armed for the purpose of killing a mosquito. If you let go of it, then it's back off again. So if you're working one-handed, it's forcing your hand sort of to be holding it, like grasping it, and then pushing the button in, so your hands aren't up, in this top area when you're using it. The other nice function or feature in this is they've included an inexpensive LED flashlight, and there is some merit in having half a dozen flashlights spread around your home, or if you use your cell phone. I'm filming at my computer right now. I keep this light beside the computer, and if the power goes out, I know it's right there. And I've got different ones that are spread around. There's another one on my helmet here that I use when I'm working on my projects, or if I'm out with my wheelchair at night. So that's really handy. This does work. Bear in mind that it's done while they're airborne. So if the mosquito sees this and, up and away, it's not going to die in the same way that a mosquito has to be smacked against a hard surface to die with the traditional mosquito swatter, or if you're using rolled up newspaper or whatever it is. But using this has proven much more helpful on my hips than a traditional fly swatter, and it's much more viable. I just couldn't continue to use the traditional one. Now, this particular one, you can see here, it might not be in focus, but it's the Zap It brand. Hey, they've not sponsored this video. This is just what I've gone and purchased. There are different ones on the market. I would partly suggest looking at reviews to see what you're comfortable with. I would equally suggest, like this one uses a rechargeable lithium battery. Oh, I just trimmed my fingernails, just give me a second. Yeah, there we go. So it's got a micro USB charging connection right here that I'm pointing at with my finger. So this type of thing is no good unless you're able to keep the battery charged. And I think that's the big takeaway that I would give to this. You need to be able to maintain it in order to serve its purpose, instead of just buying a piece of electronics and it not being useful to you. I think the final thing that I really want to share with this is it works by arcing power. And you need to make sure that when one mosquito has died, that the body isn't remaining on the inside, like kind of waving up and down, will get the body dislodged if it remains in there. If the body remains inside this, it's going to create a burning smell when you re-engage it because it's still shorting on that particular mosquito. So I wanted to give this something for you to think about if it's useful to you or not. I broke my first one, to be honest. It fell off the where I had it held on the wall, and it dislodged the metal on the front. That wasn't a manufacturer's defect, though. That was my mistake. So why I bring this up is when I went to buy again, I was sort of paying attention to cost. These are, the first one was $35, and I don't want to keep spending $35 every time it breaks. I found this particular one had been purchased and returned by the original buyer. I couldn't find anything wrong with it, and it was recertified, and it was in the original packaging. Someone had simply changed their mind, and it works fine. And I've probably done 18 or 20 mosquitoes with it so far during the past week and a half. The only design feature that you may be interested in is if the head of this is bigger or not. And it may make reaching the mosquito easier for you, but if you're working in tight spaces, then something smaller would be more practical. So you kind of need to think about where you sit most of the time, and then decide on the size of the head based on that. Anyway, that's what I wanted to talk about today, and just sort of trying to make life easier for you with different little tricks and tips. Thanks for this time that you spent with me today. Bye for now.